The jeep thundered across the savannah like a beast itself, wheels bouncing over deep ruts and sun-scorched grass. Inside, 3 rangers clutched the sides of the vehicle, squinting against the dust storm their speed created. The radio crackled uselessly. The bees had disrupted signals in the area. They would have to rely on their eyes now. "There!" shouted Miriam, the youngest ranger, pointing wildly. In the shimmering haze, the cheetah was a broken silhouette, a golden heap covered in something unnatural, something alive. The driver swerved hard. The tires skidded and caught again. No time to waste. The cheetah tried once more to rise as they approached, his legs trembling, muscles twitching violently under the living carpet of bees. His mouth opened in another silent scream, but the sound was lost in the humming roar of wings. Then he collapsed again, the ground swallowing his body like an old secret. Miriam was the first to leap from the jeep even before it fully stopped. She grabbed the smoke grenade slung across her chest. The team had come prepared, not for this, not for billions of bees, but for emergencies involving predators and aggressive insects. They had one chance. Pull. She yanked the pin and hurled the grenade. A thick column of white smoke burst outward, coughing into the golden cloud. The bees recoiled instantly, the chemical scent overwhelming their senses. Pull. Throw. Pull. Throw. 2 more grenades hissed across the grasslands. Smoke unfurled like angry spirits, swallowing the savannah in heavy veils. The cheetah whimpered weakly beneath the swarm, body twitching, ribs heaving like a broken bellows. His once glorious coat was slick with blood and welts. His claws had gouged deep trenches into the earth where he had tried to run, to fight, to live. "Move!" barked Dan, the team leader. He and Miriam charged into the choking smoke, gobbles down, scarves up, pushing through the stinging cloud. They saw the cheetah fully now, and their hearts dropped. He was half the size he should have been, all skin and bone under the bloody, matted fur. The bees had built something over him, a living pyramid of buzzing bodies, like some twisted tomb made of gold. Miriam knelt by the cheetah's head, careful to avoid touching the swarm still buzzing angrily near his body. "You're all right," she whispered, not knowing if the poor creature could even hear. "You're not dying today." Then came in from the side, swinging a thick, weighted net. With precise movements, he threw it over the cheetah's lower body and dragged it backward, pulling free from the last clinging bees. Some of the insects followed, but most, disoriented by the smoke, swarmed up into the sky, a furious golden storm moving away over the plains. "Clear!" Then shouted hoarsely through his scarf. Another ranger, Elias, rushed in with a stretcher, rough canvas stretched between 2 poles. They worked quickly, expertly, hearts hammering with urgency. Every second counted. Together, they lifted the broken cheetah, careful of his battered limbs, careful of the burns and stings covering every inch of his flesh. He moaned low in his throat, the sound so raw, so heartbreakingly human that Miriam had to blink back tears behind her dusty goggles. The jeep's rear doors swung open, and they slid the stretcher inside. The cheetah barely stirred, his body limp except for the shallow rise and fall of his ribs. Still alive, just barely, Miriam climbed in next to him, one hand resting gently on the stretcher's edge, murmuring soft words of encouragement. "You hold on, King. Hold on." Dan slammed the door shut and gunned the engine. The jeep roared back to life, leaving the smoldering savannah and the fading bees far behind. Sunrise the race against time. The drive to the sanctuary felt endless. Every bump and jolt made the cheetah twitch in pain. His breath came in shallow gasps, his golden eyes fluttering open just enough to see the blurred faces hovering over him. Elias administered an emergency injection, a mix of painkiller and anti-inflammatory drugs, through the thick folds of his neck. Miriam soaked claws in water and dabbed them gently over his wounds, brushing away the dead bees still embedded in his fur. "He's a fighter," Elias said, his voice tight with hope, "but is losing blood fast, and is badly dehydrated." "We'll make it," Dan growled from the front seat, fists clenched white around the steering wheel. "We have to." Outside the windows, the savannah rushed past in a blur of gold and green and red, the setting sun bleeding into the earth like a slow wound. Vultures circled high overhead, still following, but they would find no feast today, not if the rescue team had anything to say about it. Ear of Rice's arrival at the sanctuary The sanctuary gate swung open as a jeep skidded to a halt. Veterinarians were already rushing forward with gurneys and medical kits, shouting orders to one another. The cheetah was lifted carefully, reverently, as if it were made of glass. Oxygen tubes were fitted to his nose. Full lines were inserted with trembling hands. Miriam stayed at his side the whole way, refusing to leave. When they wheeled him into the operating room, she pressed her forehead against the doorframe, sending up a silent prayer to any gods who might be listening. Hours passed like centuries. Finally, a weary-looking vet emerged, pulling down his mask. His face was grim, but there was a light in his eyes. "He's stable," he said simply. "He's not out of danger yet, but is a survivor." Miriam sank down onto the steps, burying her face in her hands, relief crashing over her like a wave. Around her, the sanctuary buzzed with quiet activity, preparing for a long night of vigil and care. Above them, the stars were beginning to bloom in the darkening sky, and somewhere out on the endless savanna, the winds whispered through the grasses, carrying away the last echoes of pain and fear. The king had fallen, but he had risen again, and he was not alone anymore. Glowing Star,